Hey, Great Lakes region, this is Kaden, Kazee, ATL of Allen Park, here with our regional director, Paula Roman. Paula, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thank you. I'm just so enamored with your wall here and your team. I was so glad I could come and have lunch with you guys today, so thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much. Yeah, happy Women's History Month to our region, and of course, Associate Appreciation Month as well. I just wanted to recognize our associates here at Allen Park, and of course, all the wonderful women that work for H&R Block. So I just have a couple questions for you.
Shoot away.
And for our region.
Absolutely.
First off, our associate engagement survey came out just yesterday. I was wondering, and I'm sure a lot of our region is wondering, what are your goals for our region in terms of the AES surveys?
100% participation, right? Whether you work weekends, afternoons, full time, it's so important to me as a new director of the Great Lakes is to make sure that everybody's voice is heard, right? Good, bad, or indifferent. I think a lot of folks are a little bit apprehensive around, oh, there's 30 some questions. Do I really want to put down what I want to put down? I cannot continue to work on creating a connected culture unless everybody's voice is on the table. So for me, it's 100%, right? I mean, we should have nothing short of that. What happens after that is then we all start digging into what we can affect change on within our region, right? Whether that be by district level or office level. But for me, I need to hear from everybody. I will not get a chance to meet everybody this season, although I'm on a whirlwind of visits, right? I think I'm up to like 72 offices already this season alone. And I'm now on my second round of district visits that'll take me through the end of April. And then I start back up, in the summer months, visiting our summer folks as well. So for me, that's the way for me to connect with them is for them to participate.
And we love that from you. Thank you for encouraging that participation. Thank you. I also wanted to ask about, of course, Women's History Month. Being a wonderful woman that works for H&R Block, what does that mean to you, and how best can we celebrate that in our culture here?
I think first and foremost is to really think back about, how some women in history have paved the way. And I don't necessarily mean like 200-300 years ago. It could be your mother, your aunt, a previous supervisor that you had, right? And you just think about the challenges that, uniquely women face over men. Many times we're deemed as the child rearers or the family, have the family obligations, whether it be aging parents or adults, whatever the case may be, that work-life balance has always been a center of attention for women, right? Throughout my career, I've been in business for 30 years. I've been in the professional services business for 30 years. Many of my male colleagues never had to have the same balance that I did. There was never a question around, how do you balance, your work and home life, so on and so forth. So for me, it's like, first of all, recognizing that piece, right? I think secondly is then also, we need to also be very inclusive and include the male colleagues that we work with, right? I mean, they're very, very instrumental in that piece of it from a development standpoint, from an encouragement standpoint. And then lastly is, I'm a firm believer of no woman needs to be left behind, right? I've been able to accelerate within my career, prior to this and then even at H&R Block with really great women pulling me alongside. I think many times what happens is there becomes some competitiveness or some uneasiness if somebody might move ahead of me or take a role or outperform me. We've got to help each other, right? I will never leave anybody behind. And if that means I'm preparing my successor one day, that should be that's what it needs to be about, is that we're preparing for those to succeed us, right, in the role that we're in. Or even more importantly, one day I may work for this person, and that's okay, right? That's how we encourage that bonding and that connection as women.
And that definitely, goes alongside with our, associate appreciation as well, making sure that everybody is appreciated, everybody gets the recognition they deserve. I think that's great.
For me, these last couple of weeks to see the associate appreciation has just been phenomenal, right? And I think more importantly is folks are talking about how they want to be appreciated, right? We can come up with as many fads or whatever that it is, but it's really talking as a team and how do we want to celebrate each other, right? Celebration from an associate engagement or appreciation necessarily doesn't have to come always from the top down, right? Many times, I know for me personally, my peer recognition is much more impactful than sometimes my supervisor, because they walk the same walk that I do. They have the same role that I do. So it's just simply amazing to see folks really identify what that means in their own offices and celebrate each other independently. You know, whether that's a crazy sock day or a hat day, or sometimes it's just, we're all going to come in and like have a potluck, and we're going to spend some time just thanking each other, or just sitting and like breaking bread perhaps, right? And just, you know, carving some time out that we can just enjoy each other's company.
I love that. And as a leader, you know, I really try, that's one of my biggest goals, right? To create an environment here where we all feel appreciated and you know, definitely, you know, feel recognized for all the work that we do, and cultivating that environment around, especially, you know, these offices, right? We're kind of like a little work family.
Yeah, well, you are. I mean, you are. When you think about it, depending on your role, or that many times we spend more time, I mean, statistically, with the folks that we work with than our own family. So essentially, you know, the old adage of leaving your problems at the door no longer exists, right? I mean, that might have been like circa 2000, that was kind of like the leadership mentality, but you know, folks are faced with so many challenges outside of the workplace, and if we can't have empathy and understanding that, you know, as much as they try to bring it to work, not to bring it to work, I should say, it doesn't happen, right? But how can we help each other work past it? You know, if there's involvement, but you know, that old mantra needs to kind of go away, that you leave your problems at the door, because it's simply not. We're juggling too many things as individuals.
Yes, we're human beings, we're people, we have lives and feelings. So yeah, definitely being able to include our mental health as well into all of that. So I kind of wanted to ask you, being a leader, maybe is there a favorite leadership style that you have as to, you know, how an office should be run? How should we be, you know, engaging and encouraging our associates?
Well, a couple things. So when I think about a successful office, you're first and foremost, your priority needs to be on the client, right? Folks, you know, have started to pick up, I don't call it a whip, I call them clients on hold, because we continue to dehumanize the work that we do sometimes, right? And we think about, they're not a return, they're a client. And this transaction that they're doing is, for many of them, the most important financial transaction they're going to do this year. And it's an uneasy one, right? I don't care whether you think you're going to get a return or your refund or not. Nobody says, yay, I'm going to go in and get my taxes done today, right? So for me, when we really focus on the client and moving them to the finish line, right? And that means sometimes, you know, having conversations of why they're on hold for so long, talking about the pricing. Are we really transparent? By the time we click that end button to submit that return, have we done and talked about everything that we can for them, right? And then as associates, it's really understanding like the emotional intelligence, right? And understand how each person thinks individually, that inclusiveness, right? How they think, how they feel, right? How they process things. You know, we can't spread our, you know, you can't be a spread type of leader like peanut butter. Like, I'm going to lead everybody the same way, or I'm going to work with everybody the same way. Because how something resonates with you may resonate with me differently. So what are those like secondhand conversations that we have to have so that you have engagement and buy-in right around it? So for me, it's really around, again, focusing on the client first and foremost, and then all of us being really emotionally intelligent and engaged around that piece of it, that I understand you as a person, what makes you tick, what doesn't, how you process things, what is your reality. So your reality and my reality might be different, and that we individually lead people versus just mass leadership styles.
Well, you hit it out of the park on that one. I was going to ask you about clients in progress, because I've started to actually use that since I've heard you say it. I have a weekly email, and I've been mentioning, work in progress as clients in progress, because it's so important for our people to
humanize.
Yes,
we have to
these are people.
humanize them, right? I mean,
it's not just our work that we have to get done. These are people's lives and returns, and
that they entrusted us to do. And if we want to continue on with another 70 plus years, right, and still be the reputable brand that we are, we have to humanize that piece of it. And you know, I that's the part I lose sleep over the most, right, is how many clients that we do have on hold that we have not gotten over to the finish line. And understandably, there's challenges. Whether a client has to pay versus whether they get a refund, whether it's a fee or they don't have the money. Absolutely, but we're still putting too many clients on hold, not only within a district or a region, but as an organization overall. So once we start thinking about them as that were me, if that were my mom, if that were my dad, if that was
Right.
my brother, my sister, my partner, whatever the case may be, making that human aspect of it.
Well, I certainly am encouraged by everything that you've shared with me today. I'm sure the region is too.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your
thank
time.
you, Kaden.
for
And
your
great
commentary.
board. I'm
Yeah.
like loving it. So awesome. And you're going to be on our 2:00 call today, so right?
Yeah.
You're going to be on the all hands call. So yeah,
Yeah.
we'll talk to you in just a little bit. What, about a half an hour or so?
Sounds great. Thank
All right,
you so
thanks
much,
so much.
Paula. Thank you.
You're welcome.